And so,
really?
you know, I listen.
Like voice.
Yeah.
I should do a voiceover for you.
Wah 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 wah.
There you go.
Can you tell that story of the guy, what the guy said?
You know, I'm kind of like a very small time instructor. I have small classes and stuff, and so I don't have the big numbers that the other instructors do, who are former police and military. I come from just a normal civilian perspective. And I had a call from a student like a year or two after he took my class. He was a private investigator. And it was actually very heartening. I had always hoped and prayed that none of my students would ever need any of the skills and information I shared in my class. But I had one student who did. He was dealing with a case and helped a lady with some issues that she had. And I guess the guy who was stalking her was very revengeful, or after revenge for him, and he started stalking the private detective. And it came to a point where it escalated and he couldn't, avoid it, and all of a sudden he's being attacked and he had to use deadly force to defend himself. And he was thanking me on the phone for everything that I shared with him in the class, that it really, really helped him with everything that happened. And it was very emotional for me, because I was traumatized that he actually had to live through this. But I was so thankful that he was alive and safe. And I hope and pray he's the only one, and that everybody else never has anything develop. Because statistically speaking, the encouraging statistic is because of our mindset of the concealed carry world, we're more aware of our surroundings. And there's a statistic that says that the concealed carry permit holders actually encounter the least amount of violent crime out of any group of people. And it's not a talisman. Bad things happen to good people. And usually hate and crime and evil is very irrational. So, but in that one instance, it was vindicating for me when he called me and told me all this, that his life was saved by the information and the knowledge and resources that I shared with him in the class.
Right.
That was heartening.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was like.
Let me check if it's recording. Sorry, I can't okay, it is. We're good.
I went on a rabbit trail on you, so feel free to edit that if you need to.
Oh, yeah.
If you need me to repeat it, I can try to go over it again.
No, that sounded good.
Okay.
And what do you think about, since our documentary is kind of geared towards college?
Okay.
Yeah, college.
There's a history there. There's a history behind carrying concealed on colleges in Colorado. If I can remember all my ducks in a row, correct me if I'm wrong, or we can do another interview later on and I can say everything right. But about somewhere between 8 to 10 years ago or so, and I could be wrong, I'm trying to remember this, the shall issue was passed back in I think 1985, and we had concealed carry in Colorado before then, which was may issue. We became a shall issue state, which means the legislature comes up with certain criteria that must be met before you can apply for a concealed carry permit. And every state is different. It's their own prerogative, that's state rights and all that. College was a gray area. So before, back in, my grandpa's age, people were bringing hunting rifles and stuff as they walked to college and putting it in the locker. There was no school shootings. There was no outbreak of violence and stuff. Alan Corwin is he's a researcher of firearms laws and concealed carry, and he's interviewed on national stations, news stations and stuff, and he's telling the story of how back in his day when he was a kid, you just put your hunting rifle, little .22 or BB gun or whatever it was, in a locker and nothing happened, and then they take it back, walk back home with it or whatever. Now we live in a culture that is filled with hate and self-love instead of love thy neighbor, and there's a lot of different dynamics that probably fester this, but one of them is, I'm going off on a tangent. Let me back up again. I apologize. Your question is concealed carry on campus.
Yeah.
History. Let's go back to the history. Okay. Concealed carry on college campus has a little bit of a history in Colorado. We were first a may issue state, then we became a shall issue state. I'll explain those concepts a little later on if you wish me to. Because most colleges tend to be anti-gun in culture with the faculty and the administration. They live in fear of these things they don't understand. They tend